Hello everyone and welcome to another Forex Triple B video. In this weekly video, guys, we're going over the previous weekend, check out some of the interesting examples, at least according to the way that we're trading the strategies. So if you're curious and you would like to learn more about our view on the market and the things we are looking for, you can go to the forextripleb.com website and you will be able to see this table slightly below. So let's start and see by dates 22nd was the previous week. So from 22nd up until the end, we can go ahead and check out some of the setups. Euro franc 15-minute chart is the first one that we're going to talk about. And here we can see that the trend is definitely bullish, at least according to the filters on the higher time frames. Nothing is stopping us in terms of divergences against. In the heat map, we can see that Euro pound, dollar franc, dollar yen are pushing and being the strongest. Here we have Aussie cut, Kiwi cut. So Euro franc basically not on the heat map, doesn't help us too much here. And I guess that's all in terms of the indicators, right? Now we can check out the price action. The very first notable level immediately we can see on the chart is right here. This is the weekly pivot plus 1 or 2 days ago, we had this daily pivot, which is kind of fitting together. We have these previous levels right here, and if we combine them, we're going to get a zone like that. So pretty much that would be the two zones or the two support levels that we are going to be focused on as long as we're going to be buying, right? And of course, we're going to use those as protections depending on how you would like to be protecting. Some might be protecting here, others here, and then you have here. Very different situations and setups. Again, it strictly depends on your personal preferences. That's it. Now to the setup. As we can see, the price managed to break through all these levels, and we're finally sitting somewhere on the top of it, testing, retesting these levels. And this is where, from that point on, the filters are now in agreement and we can be looking for buys, which meant this is the very first time the price touched the lower band, and this is the fractal that we're going to be working on with, sorry, because this one was not yet there, right? At the time we touched, which should have been better, but unfortunately it's only this one. So this is where a potential entry might be triggered. Now, my personal view on this one is that I'm going to be skipping it for one very simple reason. If this is a push up and we're going to be buying here, it doesn't look like this move is finished. If this is ABC and we're going to be breaking, I wouldn't expect after the breakout to get a consolidation. So I'm thinking now that we had move up, push down, consolidation, potential push to the downside again, creating this corrective structure, and only then continuation up. Right? So for me, this is a bit premature here. And now looking back in the history, this is what we were talking about. And right here, we would be testing the weekly pivot, right? This first zone, testing this level. So wherever this entry would be triggered, probably here somewhere, that would be a bit more reasonable entry, according to me, right? Because now we have ABC. Of course, depending on how you're going to protect it, this is going to be stop loss most likely because we're breaking below, right? But that would be my process of thinking. Now, since the breakout and we're going and pushing below, we already mentioned this previous zone right here, and we can see the price is bouncing off of it, okay? And we can also see that the pair started pushing upwards, holding this zone. So technically speaking, if that happens, I would consider this to be a larger ABC later on. And if my analysis holds from the higher time frames, once I get the triggers, I would be giving it a second shot here to go ahead and attack, because now it doesn't turn into anything bearish. It doesn't do the reversal. It just makes a larger corrective structure. That's all. Okay, let's take closer to Triple B rules. Aussie dollar with the sell. This example was also covered in SRS Pro. If you're curious, you can go ahead and watch that video as well. But my main concern here is that this is not an ABC, okay? And again, I do see this as one straight push to the upside. Besides that, everything looks good, right? We have the filters, we have all that we need, weekly, daily levels, these two slightly above. So first zone, second zone, pretty close to each other. Makes sense. But if we're looking and talking about market structures, I would expect to see something like this, first of all, before it drops down. Of course, in this case, this is not what happened. It moved straight to the downside, but that would be my concern in this case. EuroCAD is the next one. Strong bearish trend. We can see that it's developed even from before that. Many interesting opportunities on the way. But at that stage, what we need to pay attention to here is the fact that we have divergence, actually two divergences. One will be up to here, and then you have second one right here. And from that point on, the price started pushing up. Now, you need to go ahead and check out the 4-hour chart, whether you have convergences or you have some kind of reversal patterns. Some might be considering this as inverted head and shoulders, and so on and so forth. And overall, check out levels, right? So this, again, I'm running away a bit from the rules of Triple B specifically and talking about patterns, but if I have two divergences on the higher time frame and I have reversal pattern, at least for me, that would be a reversal pattern. And even if it's not, the simple fact that we have this zone, this level, penetrated like this, broken immediately. So we break below aggressively, holds, attempt to go, and then we have a breakout. Okay, so from that point on, the price is now sitting above weekly resistance, sitting above this manually drawn level. I don't think so I'm going to be looking for sells, to be honest. And furthermore, now technically speaking, I'm not sure if you can see it, but this is where we have a fractal, okay? This is where the price is touching the opposite band. So at the moment this is happening, that's the entry price, okay? However, at that moment, we already have a new low here. And that put together with the weekly level, I'll definitely be looking for sells below this zone, not right here, okay? Definitely would be looking for sells, if I'm looking for sells at all, below this low. So this is what I see in EuroCAD. Actually, let's see where it pushed lower. Okay, it pushed lower. This is broken back to the downside, right? But pay attention to those very small little things when they happen. No software is ideal. That's why you as a human, as a manager of that software in quotes, should be paying attention to those very little things. Okay, in this case, it worked, but overall, I think, again, these things you should be managing, right? This is our job. Everything else, rules and heat maps and all these algos, which are behind the scenes, they're really helpful. But at the end of the day, the software cannot do all these things and variations of the market that we're reading, like this one, like the levels, all these things, they're pretty easy. Okay, and with a bit of practice, you will be able to do them as well. And when you put the whole picture together, then your performance will start showing up the up curve. Cool, so then we move on to dollar franc. First thing I see on the chart is a range, okay? And being at the bottom of the range, or at least last touch point is the bottom, I would be expecting for the price to continue up, right? So this is in terms of price action. Then when we're talking about dollar franc, we can see that dollar franc is actually on the list of the heat map for today's readings, okay? Which is a good sign for the bullish pressure. Filters on the higher time frames are suggesting continuation up. Right here, I don't see anything significant besides the fact that we have a ranging setup, which we already identified by price action. And then we can start looking at the setup. So what's happening here is the price is actually riding inside the Bollingers. And once it starts pushing to the upside, this is the fractal right here, which is waiting for a breakout. Even though we had two more fractals on the way up, imagine that the signal is coming somewhere around here, okay? So these two are not in place if you're wondering why not attack here or here, because that was the technical fractal which we're going to be working with based on the actual setup. In terms of protection, looks good because we have weekly support line right below here, and we can see the price is testing it and rejecting it. On the negative side though, I wouldn't consider this an actual high to work with. This is a straight move down. Okay, this is a straight move down, and this is a simple 1 or 2 candle pullback and then immediate continuation. So not the most important or reliable level on the chart, at least in my opinion, of course. That's on the negative part. On the positive part, again, as I said, we have the weekly plus these two levels being broken. So on the other hand, that being the only concern, everything else kind of fits, right? Another thing that you might be considering is the stop loss. So if this is the low right here, or you're protecting with the Bollingers a few pips below or something, but in general, that would be the level to be protected, right? It doesn't matter how we spin it, that would be the level to be protected. If that's the case, that looks a bit too much to me. Because in this case, the best we can get, assuming that the price is going to bounce and potentially reverse back or breakout, those are the two scenarios. But this is the level, okay? We expect the price to come to that zone. And that's actually a conservative scenario because this is the actual top of the range, okay? The zone on the top, assuming that this is the whole level, the whole range, the top zone, the buffer top zone starts from here somewhere. Some might consider it from that zone as well, but you get the point. So projection of target from here to here, okay, gives us one-to-one somewhat at best, okay, which in my opinion is not sufficient. What I would be doing here, of course, that will require management, that will require it to be around the PC, not using the software, maybe use some limit or pending orders, right? And attacking these levels. So basically, if you manage to get a bit of a pullback, I mean, look at these candles. If you manage to catch it, in case it gives you a pullback, then you will be talking about completely different risk-reward ratio scenario. So then this, you start projecting versus this. And now you have 1 to 2. Of course, the trade-off is the price shoots up and you're left with nothing. What I do in this scenario specifically when I need to get the pullback and I'm afraid that the price might be running away almost immediately, which is usually happening during breakouts, I split the risk into parts, right? So the first could be 20, 30, 50, 70%, doesn't matter. let's use 50%. So you attack 50% right here. And then the second part you place on the other level. So this way, if it runs and moves, you make money. A bit less, but you make money. If it moves lower and gives you pullback, then this, and it reaches the target, of course, this one will be giving you 1 to 2. Okay, this one will be giving you 1. But you make even more money. So kind of splitting it into parts could work as well. And as we can see in this case, it simply shot up. So if you're waiting for pullback alone without entering some first portion here, you will be missing out on this opportunity. All right, let's cover, actually we have 2 more, so let's check them out, both of them. Aussie Kiwi, 1 hour chart, bullish. That looks like a divergence on the higher time frame, so I would be careful here. Probably we're looking at these 2 highs under divergence. And this aggressive push lower, followed by second wave, is now creating for us an ABC. As long as there is no third low, that remains a structure which is supposed to, or at least has the chances of pushing up, right? Because we don't have impulse to the downside. So this is the first time we're pushing below. That would be the alert. We're pushing second time right here. And then we have this as the alert. And this is where the breakout is happening. What do we see here? We see weekly pivot, which is fantastic. We also see some daily levels. And from the previous days, we see multiple levels right here. So that becomes a pretty strong zone, at least based on pivots. And when we check the price action, we can see that this is also the place where the price is hesitating to move up or down, right? Push, stops here, consolidation, continuation. Push down, stops here, pull back, attempt to go lower and breaks. So we should be definitely paying attention to that level. There is something here which the market is respecting, okay? That means if we're going to be buying, we want to be buying above this zone, okay? And we want to be protecting below that zone. Now, aggressive protection would be slightly below this level. A bit more conservative protection would be to find the previous level, which is approximately here, and go ahead and protect it something like this, okay? I would also be paying attention to the previous swing high, which is right below the weekly resistance from the previous week. But the risk-reward ratio here should be making sense, because you definitely want to start cashing out once we're closer to this swing and once we're closer to these weekly levels. So this one shot almost immediately, not almost, immediately to the upside, delivering the move, but pay attention to those little things and you will be good in the long run. Cable is the last one in the table. Here what we have is bullish structure, which after this move and then the continuation managed to flip the price, and then it became bearish starting from this point right here. And you can see how quickly, because of this powerful move, how quickly things happened and developed, okay, in a matter of hours here. So once that happened, I would personally start looking for double wave structures, because, well, right here, I'm not sure if this is not the shortest wave, and this is already 15, so it will require us to drop to the lower time frames, but it looks like an impulsive structure to me. I'm not able to confirm at that stage. So if you get any alerts at that stage, I would be, honestly speaking, skipping them. The next thing why, the next factor why I would be skipping that is because the level is very far away from me and the price never tested it. If we take a look, however, on the next part, which is right here, then you kind of have ABC, okay? Now, in this case, the level is still not touched, but now we're missing that much compared to the previous time where we were missing this much. Okay, you can see the difference. So I would honestly start looking for sales from this point on, which means that would be the first alert, which was never triggered, would never be triggered. And then you have the next time the price is touching the high, this is the fractal you're going to be working with. And now, honestly, it starts to become a bit better because now you have first false break, second false break, and price is coming closer and closer and closer to these levels. Plus, you have the previous swing on the way down. So level, larger ABC structure is in place. If this is first wave, then I'm looking at second wave, which is also ABC structure. That would be triggering some trend line breakouts for some people, algos, right? And overall, it starts to look, bless me, it starts to look good. So about cable, am I missing something? Let me see, levels, breakouts. I think it makes sense, right? In terms of the targets, you should definitely be paying attention to this, okay? We stopped slightly before that. This low came closer. We stopped slightly below that, but look what's happening on the push up. That remains a pullback. We're never able to create higher highs, never able even to touch the Bollingers. The only touch we see is right here, okay? So yeah, once we're coming to this zone, definitely pay attention to that, because look what's happening. Price starts pushing down again, momentum, look where it stops. So unless the momentum and the trend is super strong, you're going to see pullbacks. The reversals or pullbacks, you don't know. That's why pay attention to these levels, extremely important. All right, so I guess that would be all for this week. If you have any questions, find us in the Telegram groups or leave us a comment right below this video. Thank you for watching.